primary schools across England, a deadline is approaching. By 2010, the government wants every child at Key Stage 2 to have the opportunity to learn a foreign language. The good news is that 84% of primaries are already offering some form of MFL in class time. And for these Year 5 children, just back from visiting pen pals in France, even a little French seems to go a long way.
Well, some of it was confusing, but they know simple English and we know simple French, so then it was quite easy.
It's like kind of combined, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's fun to try and figure some of their words that they're saying to us.
It made me feel quite proud because I've got a different language and I can talk to other people who I don't really know that well.
But in order to meet the full primary language entitlement, schools must also help children to reach a recognised level of competence by age 11. In this film, we learn how one local authority is starting to tackle progression and visit 5 schools facing different challenges to be ready for 2010. Medway is a small unitary authority in Kent with a strong commitment to MFL.
With a year to go, Medway have probably the majority of our schools now delivering languages. We've got 63 schools with Key Stage 2 pupils, and about 60 of them are actually delivering languages. If not in all year groups, then at least it's sort of 2 or 3 out of the 4 year groups.
Their language project launched in 2005 with a simplified version of the government's Key Stage 2 framework.
In order to actually deliver a skills-based language curriculum, you actually need quite a lot of language skills, or actually quite a lot of training. And the teachers really felt more comfortable to start with if they could focus on content. So in order to get languages into the curriculum and actually get it being delivered, we focused on a content-based approach with reference to skills as well.
This has resulted in the development of complete schemes of work for each year group to accompany the formal delivery of MFL across Medway.
Where we go next really is a question of looking carefully at progression. It's in place in Year 3, it's in place in Year 4. Can we keep that level of momentum going to make sure that there is real progression in Years 5 and 6?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Ça va bien.
Comme ça, très bien. La nourriture. What food can you remember in French? Jodie?
Les pains.
Très bien.
Le jambon.
Le jambon, oui.
La pomme de terre.
Les pommes de terre. Do you remember in French in English what that is?
Potatoes.
Très bien.
At Parkwood, French is being introduced into the curriculum, 1 year group at a time, in line with the Medway plans. The aim is to build on content and skills at a rate that is manageable.
We started to equip our Year 3 teachers with the skills that they needed to deliver first and foremost, and then on a rolling programme have worked through with our Year 4 teachers as well. We're now at the stage where our Year 5 staff are beginning to introduce modern foreign languages more formally in the classroom and have provided a dedicated time for the language to be taught.
Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Je voudrais.
Très bien.
The model that we've chosen to adopt at Parkwood has worked for us because it's enabled us to embed that language teaching. Rather than everybody trying to have a go at it, we've been able to roll it through over the years, and it's become more of a foundation on which to build.
Répétez. Qu'est-ce que?
Qu'est-ce que?
We've also seen how far we can take the children so that in each case the next teacher can pick them up and move them forward, as well as consolidate some of the learning that they've had previously.
Year 4 is very much learning vocabulary and answering questions, oui or no. I think in Year 5 we're able to take the children a stage further and get them to develop their own conversations. Role plays work very well, I find, with the older children.
Bonjour, madame. Bonjour. Bon, qu'est-ce que? Oui, je fais. Qu'est-ce que? Qu'est-ce que bon voulez? Je voudrais
The school is also exploring how to make the most of curriculum time and teacher expertise.
Our curriculum planning group had to think long and hard about how they could actually dedicate the time to support modern foreign language teaching when our curriculum is already under pressure from all the different subjects that we're trying to teach. But we felt quite strongly that this would actually fit in with our approach and our skill-based curriculum that we've introduced, and also feel that it's an important aspect of learning for the children. Within year groups, teachers have worked out a programme where they can deliver 3 different lessons at the same time, and the children will rotate through the 3 lessons.
In Year 5, this carousel system supports teachers with strengths in music, RE and French.
It was something I wanted to look at because I'm in Year 5 and I'm the languages coordinator. I wanted to be able to teach the other classes when some other members of staff weren't so confident. From a teacher's point of view, it saves time, so I prepare one French lesson very well to teach all Year 3 classes rather than an OK RE lesson, an OK music, an OK French.
Bonjour, ça va? Oui, ça va? Très bien, bien.
8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3.
Oakland is one of only 2 Medway schools offering Spanish. This has brought additional pressures for non-specialist staff.
It's been really tough to introduce a modern foreign language. I stay committed to the language we chose. I think we made the right choice in not going with French but following Spanish. But it is very hard to ask teachers to step out of their comfort zone.
Their strategy was to introduce the same Year 3 schemes of work simultaneously across all 4 year groups.
We decided for all of us across the school from Year 3 through to Year 6 to all teach the same programme of study to the children so that we could come back, share how things were going, what we'd found worked, what hadn't worked, because basically the majority of us had no Spanish whatsoever. So a lot of it was learning with the children together.
How about como te llamas? Yes. What's the answer, please? Me llamo, okay? Me llamo Thomas, right, thank you. Como te llamas? It was daunting, I think, for the rest of the staff, because if I put myself in their shoes, I'm quite confident with the language, although I'm self-taught. But if I had to speak, if someone asked me to teach French or German, I would be absolutely lost. I would be traumatised, I think. So in that respect, I can feel for the staff who have to do it.
We decided to pick Spanish as our modern foreign language, not just because we had a teacher in the school who could speak the language, but we felt for our children in this context, they would probably more often visit Spain than they would France if we taught French, and have an opportunity to speak Spanish more frequently.
I could say "¿Qué tal?" and that means are you happy or are you sad? And if they said muy mal, that'd be sad, and if it's muy bien, that'd be happy.
Coca! Greece!
The other challenge for Oaklands has been to find enough time to deliver and embed the language effectively.
By 2010, you're meant to have an hour of Spanish. Where on earth they're going to put an hour, I do not know. However, so we teach half an hour in class, and we lift the lessons from the programmes of study, Medway's programme of study. Then I take the register in the morning and the afternoon, and I personally, and I think other staff also, sort of do warm-up activities in PE as well to reinforce some of the language learnt. So that's really where we get our hour from. Okay, amarillo.
It's helping the children hear those terms and phrases, numbers, colours, in another context apart from in the classroom, and just helps keep them at the front of their minds.
Los chicos buscan la bandera español. Las chicas de Gran Bretaña.
We're now in the position to reflect on where we've got to. We haven't made much progress. We're still with the Year 3 programmes of study much across the whole school because staff confidence levels, having to get used to the idea of repeating things a number of times to help the children get things into their mind. And while some teachers have made huge strides with their language teaching, others are finding it difficult and are having to be honest and saying, I'm finding this tough going, I need more help, I need more support.
What's your month, Sasha?
Julio.
Julio, muy bien. What's your month?
Mayo.
No. Mayo, muy bien.
To be perfectly honest, we're all being philosophical, especially me, because we've got to wait and see what Year 4 produces. And when we've got the Year 4 programmes of study, then we'll think clearly about how far we want to go with it. But each teacher training session is becoming increasingly more demanding. So I think a lot of the staff are apprehensive, however, very, very willing to do it. My personal opinion is you do need a linguist teaching a language because it is quite challenging.
L'épicerie. Très bien. Le château. Le château. Très bien. L'hôtel. L'hôtel. La poste. La poste.
As the specialist language teacher at All Hallows, Kathy Tomlin teaches French from reception to Year 6, up to an hour a week. Her expertise gives her more flexibility with the materials.
The midway plans work on 30 minutes lessons, so to me they're too short. So, and combining them not necessarily does enough for me. But I'm a French person, so I tend to use probably quite a lot of language, quite a lot of resources.
L'épicerie.
Très bien.
Le château.
C'est pas un château, c'est une aigle.
Assessment is key to making sure there's real progression, and Kathy uses a range of techniques.
If I'm not happy with a child's progress, I might ask a TA to follow that child with just a simple tick sheet and see, for example, how many times the child is actually answering the questions or what kind of places the child can actually answer and pronounce properly.
La boulangerie.
Fantastic.
Le café.
Excellent. Excellent. Fantastic.
We take part, and obviously Madame Tomlin and I would talk about the assessment, and with the I can sheets, when that's being done, Madame Tomlin has them individually and she goes to the I can sheets, and I'll be, and Mrs Lynch will be going through little bits with them just to make sure that they know what they're doing, what they're supposed to be saying, getting the right phrases and that kind of thing, so we're both aware of what's going on.
We have been filling in our I can sheet showing us what we know from that module. And you've been ticking most things, haven't you? But we certainly haven't been ticking anything about the poem because we haven't done the poem. Whenever you can do something, remember, even if you look back at previous sheets, you can also tick what you now can do. It's all about what you can do, okay?
I think that the I can sheets are a good way to show people what you can do, and you can, like, if you read it, you would suddenly remember how to say it.
Children need to know that they are achieving something. And that's where the I can statements are so useful, because children can say that they will need to learn something, and they are preparing themselves for that outcome.